Hey guys, welcome to another Create Your Own Background process video. And I'm really sorry this is a week late because I was really sick and I couldn't really scrapbook or talk or do voiceovers and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have two videos up this week. So the one that should have been up on the the one that should have been on the 7th and the one or the 8th. No, the 9th, and the one that should be up on the 16th. So I'll have two Create Your Own Background, so 2 and 3 this weekend, this Sunday, and maybe one will be on Monday, depending on how long they need to upload. So anyway, so today's Create Your Own Background will be crazy mixed media, like super mixed media, not just some watercolor, but actual heavy duty mixed media like doodling and paste and gesso and yeah. So this is the one I originally made, but for some reason the video is corrupted, it's not working, it's not, I don't know why, but anyway, so I'm just gonna make another layout that will have similar techniques but will be a different feel. So here's the one I originally made, and I'll have a process video on this, so I'm not gonna go too much in detail. I'll have a process video, I mean, when I make the layout, and I'll go in detail there. So there's that, and I'm just gonna use a 12 by 12 piece. And yeah, that's what's gonna be happening on the second video. So I'm gonna put you on fast forward and start creating some mixed media madness on my page. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by using some gesso and a sort of a credit card. Well, that's not really a credit card, but it's the same material as a credit card. So like a credit card, and to spread that white gesso on my page. And I'm using white gesso just because that's all I have. I guess you could use clear gesso. I really don't know. I've never tried that before. So I'm putting gesso directly on my page and then just spreading it around with that card. And I'm trying to put a very thin layer so it's not really visible later on when the layout is complete. So some spaces won't have some gesso, but I think I probably covered most of them. So I'm just cleaning up my desk here a bit. I apologize for that. And here I'm getting my watercolors. And I'm going to be using a yellow and a pink. So I'm starting off with the yellow, and I put quite a lot of paint there because I want it to be a thick texture. I don't want the watercolor to be too watery because I'm going to use it as a paint, not as like the packaging technique, which I'm just going to spread it around or something like that, because I'm going to take that palette knife, and you'll see in a minute. I'm going to take the palette knife and make lines with the yellow. So I do want a slight watercolor feel, but I also want it to be solid so I can control it a bit more. And then here I'm going to go and make some pink using some white and red paint because I don't have white. And I put way too much red paint. So I'm just separating those and I'm leaving the rest of the red to be used as red. Maybe I might put some hints of red. So I was making my pink there, and I'm going to do the same exact thing as I did with the yellow. I'm just using that palette knife, and I'm just putting it in places at the moment, and I'm going to be going back later on once I have all my colors and adding more of those strips. So here I go in with just a bit of red. I don't want it to really look like blood, so I'm just putting a hint of it, and later on you'll see I'm going to intermix it with the pink, so it will be a little bit orangey and stuff like that. So here I want to do another color, but I don't want to bring another color. What do I mean? So I'm just using a shade of the colors that I have already. Like I use pink and red, and I'm going to use yellow, and that sort of golden sand color that you see there. And then I'm just going back with all my colors and adding more. And I really want the yellow to be dominant on the page, which is why I'm going to go back at the end and add more yellow. There I go. because, yeah, so you see how that's starting to become a bit orange because I was too impatient, but I really like how it turned out, so sometimes that works out. So again, I'm just adding more colors in until I have the page completely covered, and excluding some white space that I have left on the side. And I think that's about it for the watercolors. Now, where did I go? I probably went to get my stencils because I wanted to do some stenciling. Yep, here they come. So I only have a couple of stencils. So one is that square and hexagon and rectangle one. The other ones are the Fiskars ones that are more for drawing than modeling paste, whatever. So I decided on that floral, but I don't necessarily want it to look like a floral, so I initially think that I'm just going to do parts of the floral. So you won't get the idea that it's a floral, you just see a cool pattern. But I will end up doing the floral, and I really like how it turns out. So here I went to get some stuff. I want to clean my plastic so I could use it for what I'm about to do next, but I don't think I ended up using it. So I put my layout to dry, and I'm just waiting for the watercolor to dry so it doesn't mix with my white gesso because I want it to be a stark white. So I'm just prepping my workspace there, and here I go. And I'm dabbing my page with a Kleenex because I want to make sure there isn't any wet paint left. And I'm just putting some gesso on that palette knife and spreading it through the stencil because I don't have modeling paste, which I think is what you would normally use to do this. But all I have is gesso, and it works out fine. So I'm just adding this stencil floral piece in a lot of places on my layout, and I'm never doing the whole flower. I might leave a couple of leaves out, or I might do half or a quarter or something like that. So I'm filling up the page, and I'm just adding it to the color part. There's hardly any of the gesso going onto the white spots on the layout. So here again, I want to clean my palette knife because I wanted to use it again. So once this is dry, I'm going to go in with some more watercolors to add some splatters because again, I don't have mist, which is what you would usually use to do splatters. But if you don't, watercolors is a great way to do that. There isn't really much of a difference. It's just a bit harder. It takes a little bit more time. So I'm prepping stuff. I'm cleaning my palettes. So there I go, mixing that pink paint with one palette knife, which isn't working. So I switched palette knives, and I'm just flicking it off with my finger. I'm just tapping on the palette knife because I couldn't find my paintbrushes. So I did pink and red, and then I wanted to add some black, and I put way too much black there. But anyway, so here I go with the black, and I think that black adds just the right amount of boldness and the right amount of sort of darkness to this light and bright layout. And then here I'm just going to put that black paint onto a piece of paper that I could use later on, just so I don't throw all that paint away. And then I'm going to go and add the red paint onto that. So here I'm just showing you some products that I picked out. So I showed you the Chit Chat Tim Holtz stickers, and those are just some cards I picked out of the summer snap pack. And there's a desktop chipboard set, and those are some enamel dots, and then these hearts and scallop circles, some rhinestones from Tiger. These are some printables from Jen Scow. Just a little cork sticker set, a postage stamp set, the flares from the Atwell collection. I picked quite a lot of things. Some clips in black and white, this alphabet in black and white from the Atwell collection, and then there's this washi from the Atwell, and that yellow washi is also from the Atwell collection by Fancy Pants. Then there's also that washi and that thin washi, and I have papers from a number of different places. So these ones here are from the glitter stack, the basic stack from Die Cuts Interview, and the Dots and Stripes by American Crafts. And then I also had the Amy Tangerine Stitched. And then these are from the Simple Stories of Vintage Bliss. Wrong paper pad there. There's the right one. And then these are from the Atwell Collection 6x6 paper pad. And then the rest is just from some random from my scraps, and that one is from that Tiger paper pad, which you would have seen in my haul video recently. And that is the Confetti by Maggie Holmes chipboard 12x12 package. So I'm going to start the layout in just a second here. And here I go with my photo, which I ripped. So I cut it by tearing it, and then I ripped the top and bottom a bit, I don't know why, just appealed to me. So I printed a black and white photo because I want the photo to stand out on the background, and I thought that a color photo would just clash too much with those specific colors. So here I really want to use that floral from the Vintage Bliss, but I also want to use this red, and the floral and that red don't go together. So I'm going to decide to use the red Love from the Amy Tangerine Stitched, and I'm also going to use that diagonal stripe from the Atwell collection. You'll see in a bit. So I'm going to test out using both the floral and the red paper, but it's not really nice. It's not really working. So I am going to cut everything down and try to make it work. And then here I am adding that diagonal stripe. And I'm still stuck on the idea that I want to add that floral. But the Vintage Bliss collection has a lot of creams, and then the rest of what I'm using is stark white. And also there's that teal in that floral paper that just, I don't know, didn't really appeal to me at the moment. So I decide I'm finally going to just use the red and the yellow stripe. And then I go and get this black and white floral. And I'm just gluing those. I'm going to layer those three behind my photo. And I'm just going through everything else now to see if I want to add anything more. And I thought I could cut out some of these chevrons and add them somewhere, but I don't really like how it looks. So I'm choosing the yellows and the grays. But you see, that just doesn't really work. I'm trying to make it work, but it's not. And I'm using some removable tape there to keep everything intact while I mess around with more layers and stuff like that. So nothing moves around and I waste time. So here I go again with that floral, but I decided I'm not going to use it. And here I'm just separating my papers from what I know there's no way I'm going to use on this layout and what I might use. So here I also stuck in a little scrap piece from the Amy Tangerine Stitch collection behind my photo. And I'm just adding some more removable tape. And here I go separating the papers. And I feel like the photo is getting a bit lost on the page, and I really don't want it to get lost. So I'm going through my drawer where I store things that I don't use often, or that are sort of unusual, that aren't normally used in scrapbooking. So this is just a piece of yellow vellum that's cut apart. It's 3 pieces of it, and it's ripped, which works perfectly with my photo. And I'm just going to attach all 3 pieces in behind the photo, and I'm just fussing a bit with the placement of those. And I'm sorry you see a bit of my hair here and there. So next, I'm thinking I might add that a doily, but here I go with the doily. So I cut off just a bit of it to see if I want to add it, but again, it just distracts from my photo, and it's too rich of a red. It's more Christmassy than what I'm looking for right now. It's just too rich. I want a sort of pinkish red, and that just isn't it. And then here I have some punches that I thought would be nice to use. And so I get the heart out, and I thought we'll make a little nice embellishment right there. And then I find these floral pieces, which I decide to scatter around my layout. So I'm going to put a white floral and a red smaller floral piece right next to it. And yep, I think that just adds a bit more detail to my layout. And then I'm just taking one last look at that drawer, and here I'm trying to fix the camera So, yeah, okay. So I'm trying that die cut piece there, not gonna like it. And I'm putting back that heart, which is a bit plain at the moment. So I'm gonna be working on ways to fix that. And here I'm just gluing everything down. No, actually I'm putting pop dots on my photo as a way to emphasize it more, because I want it to stand out quite a bit, because what I want the main focus to be of this layout is the background, which I really like, and my photo, which is why I did my photo in black and white and why I'm pop dotting it. And then I thought, well, I could use that black clip on the heart to add something more. Plus it's black, which will add just a bit more boldness with the splatters and stuff like that. But I'm not really liking the arrow. So I went into my clips and found a pink star and a heart. But the star I'm not really liking, and the heart I'm going to keep on until a certain point. So what am I doing here? Yeah, just adding more removable tape. So because that little piece is moving around quite a bit. And here I found the flare from the Atwell collection, and I found the little piece that says time to shine. And I just have two separate hearts going, and I'm flipping them through, I'm changing them to see which one I prefer. I'm not going to use either of them at the end. So here I'm just going through that chipboard, and I'm going to find a couple of pieces. Now, actually, before I go thoroughly throughout it, I was just looking at it. I'm going to go ahead and glue down those punches, the floral ones, so they don't move around, so I can pick up my layout without them falling all over the place and so forth. And I'm using some Scotch liquid adhesive there. And here I go with the chipboard. So I find that piece that says happy, and I really like it. But I can't use that and the flare button. So I'm getting rid of the flare button, and then I'm bringing in that clip. But that clip is not really, it's just not really working. I am going to leave it there for the time being, but it's not going to stay there. And then I got that postage stamp because it had very similar colors to my background, and you can't really tell it's a postage stamp once the layout is done. You just see that little butterfly in the corner and the color scheme. It just adds a bit more detail to the layout. So here I'm going to go ahead and glue down all of my papers to each other. And I didn't realize that I didn't glue down the vellum onto my photo. So it's going to be a little bit of a mess, but I think I fixed it. Okay, so I'm putting that chipboard back on, and there's a problem with the vellum. So I'm re-gluing everything and putting that cluster back. And then here I'm looking for other bits that I can use. There's a lot of mints and blues, which I love, but not for this layout. And I decided on using those stars because they're sort of craft color, sort of cream that match that other chipboard piece I'm using. So I'm creating a visual triangle with those pieces, and I'm putting one of them with one cluster of the florals in the background and one of them with another. And then here I know I want to use those alphas, and I'm thinking I'm leaving space for them right next to my photo there. But that's not where I'm going to end up using them. And I can't really think of a title. I'm trying to think of a title throughout this whole layout, and I end up with a really simple, like, not really a title, but anyway. So here I'm taking that black washi, and I'm sorry it's a bit out of frame, and I just ripped it in half, and I'm putting a strip of it under the photo, and then I'm trying to put some on the top, but I don't really like it, so I give up on that. What am I doing? So then I found this frame that I thought would look really cool, and it's gonna go in the top right hand corner about where that star is. So I'm gonna move that star to a different cluster, and I'm not really sure what I want to do with that frame yet, so I'm just leaving it there for a little bit. And here I go back to those alphas. I'm just staring at them trying to think of a title because it's just not coming to me. I don't know why. And then I think, okay, maybe I'll do This Is Me. But I don't like it there, and then it's just too big for the frame, and it's basically not a good title. So I decided against that and put it back onto the sheet. And I'm staring at it again. And then I go back. And then I'm going into that chipboard. And I'm trying to incorporate that life. But it's just too big and it's too much chipboard. And it ends up being too much chipboard. And I'm going back to my papers to see if I want to add something. Because I'm trying to look for something to replace that heart because it was just too plain. And I found this with veneer arrow, but those two pieces don't really fit there together, and then I have the arrow problem again. And then I found a solution. So I took the Distress ink in amber. Yeah, okay. You saw the name. I can't remember it. And I just colored in my heart, so it's the same color as the yellow in my background, so that matches pretty well. And here I'm trying to decide on my title because I know I want to put it in the frame at this point, and I'm just pop dotting that chipboard piece because my photo is pop dotted, and since it's going to be layered on my photo, it has to be level. And I'm also going to pop dot that heart and glue those down. And I'm still out of frame. I'm sorry. I really hope I fix that in a bit. So here I'm gluing down that cluster of paper to my background. And again, I'm thinking of what title to use. And I'm just putting it to see how many letters I can fit in there and just staring at the letters. And then I think, okay, maybe I'll do something with a hashtag. But I don't want to do hashtag selfie because that's really not original, and I have multiple layouts with that, so I decided on doing hashtag me because that's a picture of myself. But and then the title got lost on the background, so I decided to get another punched out heart and put that yellow Distress ink on it in a lighter form than the one next to my photo, and then I just put the letters on it. And I'm also going to pop dot that as well because it's going to be in the chipboard frame and I don't want it to feel like it's sunk in. And then I'm also going to add a red heart from the desktop chipboard to the photo cluster and to the title cluster. And then I'm adding some Tim Holtz Chit Chat letters. So I'm adding one by each of those stars, and then I'm adding
the layout
one
is
on
complete,
top of
and
my
I really like how
cluster
it
there
turned
next to
out.
the
It's
photo.
one of my favorites I've ever made. So yeah, and I'm really loving chipboard, I have discovered. So I'm gonna show you the layout close up. I really like how that frame looks there, and the color scheme on this is different for me as well. So yep, and I really do like how it turns out. And I really like how I used black and white photo. And I don't know why I said I really like 30 billion times, but anyway, so if you want to see more details on this layout, check out my you can check out my blog at graceislander.wordpress.com. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can also follow me on Instagram at Grace Islander, Grace_Islander, which I'll leave a link below again. And thanks for watching, and see you next week. Be sure to check back in for the next installment of Create Your Own Background. So again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.